Naples is like a constant party. I see it like a sort of constant party. Also, it's a city where food is everywhere. You can just go eat at any time, any place. There's so much food, so much all the time. And you might argue that that is true for all of Italy, but it's not the same.
Altro manca? Signora? Vederci. Ah, ok. Bravo, sai che non me lo ricordo. Prosecco. Io non ce l'ho, c'ho crema. I'm Wendy Holloway, and this is Flavor of Italy, sharing the very best of Italian food and wine, lifestyle, and culture. I'm
Yeah.
here with Valentina Solfrini, and we want to talk about Ischia and Naples, but not in the normal way of, oh, you should do this, you should do that, and trying to follow like a tick off a list that might not even be your travel list, but things people have told you. And we, in chatting, the two of us, we feel that we enjoy these places and so many other places much more just by taking it slow, walking around, observing everything around us. And so, Valentina, why don't you just, uh, because we first started talking about Naples and Ischia. Tell me about like your experience and share your stuff. And everyone, I'm going to kind of walk around till I find the right place to be positioned while Valentina talks to you.
All right. Thank you, Wendy. So I'm Italian, born and raised, and I think that there's, first of all, it's important to say that there's a distinction between the North and the South, and it's like a cultural difference that I experienced only quite recently. And I love the South of Italy. I love all of the South, and I feel that Naples and Ischia, they have such a character, even compared to the rest of the country.
Oh, yeah.
Italy, each city has really its own character. You cannot really put all of the main Italian cities in the same basket. But what I'm so fascinated by Naples in particular because it's such an incredible city. It's a port that has a lot of history, that has such a unique feel to it. And even I, as an Italian, I feel like I'm just like any other tourist over there. You kind of have this feeling that you don't belong and you really are visiting. And if I go to Florence, I'm an Italian like everybody else, you know? But in Naples, you get this thing that you're an outsider. And in a way, I feel a lot of respect for this environment that I'm trespassing in a way. And and you almost have to earn, the not the right, but you're welcome. You are welcome because Italians are very warm and people in the
Mm.
city are quite warm. And I
Yeah.
love Naples for the boisterous nature of the people as well. But it's important to say that it's such a different experience compared to the rest of Italy that even I, as an Italian, I feel like I am something different. I don't belong there as an Italian because then you're from Naples before you are anything else. And actually, there's some traditional songs. Naples is a place that has a lot of traditional music. Um, and there's one specific traditional song that's an ode to San Michele, and the singers ask San Michele to protect them, to protect the city from the Piedmontese and from the Italians, because back then, when it was written, it was still not the country was not a whole thing. So I think that this is the spirit which with which you have to go to Naples, and I, as an Italian, feel that very strongly. This um the spirit of the song that says proteggici dagli italiani, which is crazy, because today we're one country, but it wasn't always the case. And you can still feel that difference of Naples being such a unique place. And I live in France, and I was talking to a friend who lived in Marseille, and he was like, I feel that Marseille is to France what Naples is to Italy, because there's this big port towns where many people came and
Right.
paths crossed, and people from North Africa, people from the Middle East, people from everywhere. It was a port, like one of those crossroads of the Mediterranean, and you can still feel that. And I love it.
Yeah, that's true. I'd never really thought about that, but that's a good point, Valentina, that Marseille and Naples are very similar in many ways. I mean, I think they're major port cities, so they have a lot of life and people coming out, even in and out, even on a daily basis, that makes it so different. But yeah, yeah, continue on that thought. I really love what you're saying, and I, I definitely Neapolitan music
Yeah,
is and particularly some of the music that's from even 50, close to 100 years ago is really the essence of
yeah.
Italy that I just love. And the, um, the dialect is so strong and intense, you can barely understand the music, but it gets into your spirit and your soul, don't you think?
Mhm. Yeah, totally. And one of the best things to do is in Naples is actually try to go when you have the festivals. There's some specific festivals, they're usually dedicated to saints. Um, and the traditional music there is there's a dance especially that's called the tammuriata. So I don't know if you know about it.
No, I don't. I
Tammuriata.
don't.
It's
Tell,
like
tell.
so basically in Puglia you have pizzica, which is you have a drum that you beat with your hand and it goes tarata, 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 okay? The tamboriata is like slower, it's a bigger drum and it goes tan 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 tan. And they call it the fan because you move it like tan tan tan, and on this dance, basically there's a group of people with these drums going tan 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 tan. And they stand in a circle. So there's a circle of people with these drums, and then
Uh,
they do this thing that's called fronne limone, which means the lemon branch, and it's basically improvised singing. They sing, they take turns singing improvised lines of text and dialect, and they invite people in the center of the circle to dance. So there's usually two people, and it's a courtship. It's courtship. So it's basically an old way to court someone, but it could also be done between two males. It could be done between two females. It doesn't necessarily have to be male or female. And it's just this huge dance where people change all the time. They go to the center of the circle and then they come back and they either play the drums or a little instrument called castagnetto. It goes that.
right, right,
So
right.
it's really
Yeah,
nice.
yeah,
It's really
exactly.
cool.
It is.
And basically you have these big festivals and it's huge because the streets are flooded with people. There's music everywhere. And for example, one of these is la Festa dell'Avvocata, Madonna dell'Avvocata. So that is Mary the Advocate, which is a rather big festival and also a rather big piece of music that's called Tammuriata dell'Avvocata.
Uh-huh.
And it's incredible to witness because just these people improvising lines of text, whatever,
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
and there's a circle around them with drums and people dance and it's crazy. It's beautiful. And I remember this distinctly the first time I went to Naples. Um, I was just walking down a random street, and then one guy came out on his terrace with like a stereo and a microphone, and he started singing Neapolitan songs. And then people stopped under the balcony and and they just listened. And to me, it's crazy because there's no other city in the world where you're gonna find this thing. Where you just walk down the street and someone spontaneously will just come out with a microphone and just sing a Napolitan song. And it's also a city where the dialect and the local language is still very important. People speak it between themselves, and it's very different from Italian. I mean, you can tell that it's the same roots, but if a Neapolitan speaks Neapolitan to me, I don't understand it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I will not understand the full thing that they're trying to say.
I wish I had, because I do have a lot of Neapolitan music. I wish I had some, and I thought of it. I could have even just played a few experts for people because there's just something so evocative that really gets into you. I love it, and
Yeah,
they're such a musical people. That city, I think
yeah,
it's true a lot of the South, but Naples is unique. I remember
yeah.
once years ago, um, I don't know why there was a piano just out in the Naples train station. But
Why
these
not?
people, that was like an invitation to the local people, and they just got there and they were someone playing and singing and dancing. It was fantastic.
Yeah. It is that kind of place. That's why I feel like I don't even know. I never looked up a guide to Naples because ever since the first time we went, well, between Italians, there's this thing where everybody tells you if you go to Naples, go with someone who is from there because the city has its codes and it has a sort of rule book that nobody knows except them. And if you're with someone who is kind of walking you through, everything gets easier. You know, you get easier access to restaurants, you get easier access to bakeries, you get different prices even, you get a whole different treatment. And every time that I said, "Oh, I really want to go to Naples," and I had someone either from Naples or fr someone who went there who was like, "You need to go with someone who is from there."
I went to Naples the first time. I'm like hesitant to even tell you how much, like almost
Mhm,
40 years ago.
mhm.
And my husband took me down there for a business trip. I was an international banker back then, and he left me for a conference or whatever it was. He's Italian, and I
Okay.
think he was uh, sort of afraid to lead me there and wasn't sure if I could navigate
Yeah, I
well
get it.
within Naples and what I would think. And, when he came back, the next day and picked me up, I just said, "I love this place." I was in love
Mm.
with Naples immediately, and I think you've mentioned, you can't look around. I mean, you could probably see a lot of negative things. Sometimes there's, like, garbage issues and
Yeah,
this kind of stuff, but you you almost really have to look beyond that to, see, the people and the soul of the people and the kind of the joy and vibrancy of them, the amazing food, and just sort of wander around in some of these, like, little narrow streets, and you end up finding amazing things that are so much more, vibrant and interesting and exciting than just going off to tick off different tourist sites, if
yeah,
you know what I mean. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. No, I just started to see trash on the street. This might seem strange, but I kind of see trash as part of the scenery, like as part of the city's fabric in a way. And actually, I think that I used to see way more in Rome than I did in Naples. You get to Rome at the end of the day, and it's quite dirty. And at the same time, it's part of what the city is. It's what it is, you know. And rightly so. A friend of mine, like when I was there with my friend, she was like, Yeah, but you can tell that this is a living place. This is a place that gets used up, to the bone. It just gets it it gets you take advantage of it 100%, and at the end of the day, it's exhausted and it still has a lot to give. Naples is like a constant party. I see it like a sort of constant party. Also, it's a city where food is everywhere. You can just go eat at any time, any place. There's so much food, so much all the time. And you might argue that that is true for all of Italy, but it's not the same. It's just not
Well,
the same at
I
all.
think, Valentina, what sort of makes it different is that Italians in Naples, Neapolitans, they're out. You'll see they pull their chairs out, they sit and
Yeah,
they talk and they're eating there. It's very much of a street food culture too.
yeah,
So
yeah,
food is accessible and out there for everyone all the time, which is one of the things I love.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And the street smells like fried food. It smells like basil. It smells like tomato sauce. The street just smells like food everywhere you go. Like when I worked in Florence for a time, and I remember Florence had at around 6 p.m. you started to get this smell of grilled steak, because of the Fiorentina, the steak that
Yeah,
they
yeah,
have in
yeah.
every restaurant. So I got out of work, and at about 6 p.m. you definitely had the smell of steak everywhere. It was, you know. So if you're a vegetarian, it's not ideal, but it's ever present. And in Naples, definitely is the smell of basil, the smell of fried food.
Yeah, I mean, there
And
are a
people are
lot of
smelling.
those, friggitoriie, they're called, like, where
Yeah,
you have the fried
yeah.
foods. Yeah.
We just stuffed our faces with fried because it's the season, so we stuffed our faces with um zucchini flowers stuffed with um creamy cod, cod like
Mm,
made in a sort of cream
yeah.
with ricotta. And then you stuff the zucchini flower and you like put it in batter and fry it, and it's incredible. It's just so good. And that's not necessarily part of the cuopo. Cuopo usually has the tiny uh pasta frittata. It has the fried mozzarella. It has the little fried meatball, but you basically can just walk out of everywhere with a piece of fried food. Which again, it's really a Neapolitan thing. You don't really get it anywhere else in Italy, and it makes for an experience. It really makes for an experience. I feel like Naples is kind of left out of the traveling maps when people come to Italy. People tend to focus on Rome, Venice, Florence, which makes sense because those are wonderful cities. At the same time, Rome, like Naples, I think it gets left out a little bit because it's at least Italians. I feel like we're a little bit scared of it because we don't know what we're gonna find.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I think a lot of, Americans still feel that way because, in, maybe like a lot of, television shows and so forth, there's kind of that image that it's, "Oh, is there mafia? Are there lots of thieves?" Or the so, and it's actually quite different from what you really encounter, which is the total, warmth and vibrancy of the people.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. No, the people are incredible. It really is a culture where you just visit someone and they offer you coffee or a drink or whatever, and you cannot say no, basically. But it is such a unique city, even in the sense of pastries. There are pastries that are really typical of the city that you will not find anywhere else. Um, to us, at least to me, I come from northern Italy, and when I see something that is Neapolitan, like you go to that kind of food as if you were going out for like Indian or Chinese. It's like it's a style in itself that
Oh,
you
yeah.
have Neapolitan pizza, which is a different style, and You have Neapolitan pastries, which are different. And well, I love it. At the same time, having these experiences there in the city itself makes all the difference, I think.
This has been Flavor of Italy. Find us on www.flavorofitaly.com and on Substack, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook, always as Flavor of Italy.